RH bill, like Congressman Goles and Dr. Monson, to help dispel our ignorance regarding the RH bill. Whatever we will learn from today's seminar, let us use it so that we would become catalysts for social and moral transformation, first within our colleges, then within our university, followed by our community, and eventually the whole of the Philippines. As my parting words, let me borrow the words of wisdom of my former mentor and former Dean of the College of Nursing, Sor Paz Marfori, when she described nursing as the spirit of caring, and that nursing is meant to promote life and nourish it, and not to prevent or curtail it. I follow this principle every time I think of RH Bill. As Christians, we are here to promote and nourish life, not to prevent or curtail it. Life is a gift from God, and only God has the right to take it. Thank you very much, and I hope we have a fruitful morning.
Thank you, Mama Revilla, for those enlightening words. I'm sure everybody here is eager para ma-feed ang kanilang minds to the deeper sense of what the RH bill really is. So, first speaker, again, he's the father of Parañaque Cityhood and father of nationalization of Parañaque National High School and Dr. Arcadio Santos National High School. Landslide King of Parañaque, elected 4 times as congressman in huge landslide victories never before seen in Parañaque. Born in a small town of Romblon, parents were both public teachers, product of public schools and rose to success in academics, government, business, civic organizations, and politics. A city builder, maintained record of constructing the most number of school buildings and concreted the most number of roads in the history of Parañaque. A perfect attendance in Congress, has maintained 100% perfect attendance, no absence in session since he became a congressman in 1992. Congress debater, recognized as one of the best debaters in the House of Representatives, with his participation in the charter change, impeachment, and budget debates. Defender of the Constitution, one of the 25 brave members of the House of Representatives to vote against the effort of the majority to amend the Constitution. Deputy Minority Leader, member of all House committees, and congressman for 5 terms. Elected in 1992, 1995, 1998, 2004, and 2007. Ladies and gentlemen, let us all welcome Congressman of the 2nd District of Parañaque, Representative and Congressman Roylo Goles.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Eugene and Hani, the other MC. Maraming salamat. You know, I always welcome coming here to the University of Santo Tomas. I consider this one of the most beloved and one of the most respected institutions in the country. Not only as an educational institution, but as a historic landmark. Alam nyo, naalala ko minsan, kasama ako mga foreigners, pinasyal ko, nadaan kami dito sa Espanya. And then when they turned their eyes on the right, nakita nila yung campus nyo rito. These were Americans, and they were so startled. Sabi nila, what's that? Nagulat sila kasi nakita nila ang haba-haba ng fasad nyo, and then the very impressive buildings of UST. And then I explained to them, and they were so surprised that we have a university much older than Harvard University. Ganyan tindi ang UST. And of course, a lot of great men, women have passed through the portals of UST. That's something that you should be very proud of. naigit nga ako sa inyo na graduate kayo ng UST. Sana ako graduate din ng UST. Kaya lang, mahal ang tuition fee rito nung papasok sana ako nung panahon na nag-college ako. So, I went to UP instead. But, mas mura kasi tuition fee doon eh. Pero naalala ko rin, meron ako isang naalala rito. Kasi nung nag-aaral ako sa UP, meron akong pinupuntahan dito sa UST. May pinupuntahan. Medyo kamukha pa nga sa ni Hani. Saan si Hani? Kaya lang, walang nangyari sa amin, binasted ako eh. Yan yung malungkot na karanasan ko dito sa UST. Pero sana sa araw na to, hindi nyo ako busted din. My greetings to the other members of the Board of Students, of course, the President, Hani Banyo, Paul Vergara, the Vice President, Alec Uy, Iggy Mendoza, Angela San Juan, Miriam C., Kansa Nagit, Kaita Revilla, Advisor Maria Victoria Bongar, I met her earlier, Rowena Scholar, another advisor, Chua, and of course, our Assistant Dean, Susan Marabilia. Maraming salamat po kasi mama pa tayo. Taga-Romblon o taga-Romblon din. 35 minutes lang by overland yung distance from the Port of Odiongan to my place in Kamandag, Loob, Romblon. And of course, my fellow speaker, Dr. Edna Monzon, Chair of the Department of Bioethics. Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Kanina, binanggit, tinanong ni Dr. Marabilia kung sino sa inyo aware sa RH. And you know, this is very relevant because the other side, those who are proposing RH are always talking about this survey conducted by the SWS. Tapos sinasabi nila mga 60%, 70% daw are in favor of reproductive health. Of course, the first comment I have is, who would not be in favor of reproductive health? Kahit sino tanungin. Kahit ako, pabor ako. Siyempre, pag sinabing reproductive health, we're talking of the health of the ovary, the cervix, prostates, how to have children, maternal care, etc., etc. Yan ang ibig sabihin ng RH, no? Reproductive health. So who would be against that? In the same way that who would go against cardiovascular health, who would go against mental health, etc. RH bill, not RH per se, kundi RH bill. At nung pinaliwanag ng SWS yung kanilang methodology on how they were able to get that high approval rating, ang una pa lang nalaman nila, almost more than 80%. Pag tinanong yung respondent, hindi nabasa yung reproductive health bill. So, ako tatanungin ko kayo. Are you in favor of my nanotechnology resolution? Kayo ba? Pabor kayo? Are you in favor of my nanotechnology resolution? Who are in favor? Bakit hindi kayo sumasagot? Kasi hindi nyo nabasa yung aking resolution on nanotechnology. Therefore, you are not in a position to say yes or no. Tama? Yes. In the same way, pag isang tao, tinanong, are you in favor of reproductive health bill? At sinabi nila, hindi nila nabasa, dapat hindi na sila tanungin. Tama ba yun? But you know what they did? Instead of stopping the survey, ang ginawa nila, sabi daw, yung nagtatanong, pinaliwanag daw yung RH bill. How can a surveyor explain the reproductive health bill in a few minutes? Kahit na nga ako, I'm already a congressman. I cannot do that. What more of someone who is just surveying? Sino ba siya? Diba? Sino ba siya para magpaliwanag ng reproductive health bill? Author ba siya? Doktor ba siya? Social scientist ba siya? Pero ang ginawa, pinagpatuloy pa rin. And you know, even in Congress, I was having coffee with some media people. Tatlo sila. Nagtatanong sila, Congressman, bakit ba hindi kayo pabor sa RH bill? Sabi ko, mahabang istorya. Pero tanungin muna kita. Tanungin ko kayo, nabasa niyo na ba yung RH bill? Tatlo sila. All three of them had not read the RH bill. Imagine, media, journalist na yan. Pero sila mismo hindi nabasa. What more of the ordinary people? Kaya maganda po ang inyong, maganda ito inyong forum na ito. Believe, focusing on the deeper perspective of the RH bill. And I think this is the right action to take, that we should have forums like this so that we can better understand what the RH bill is all about and what it is not. Alam niyo, ang RH bill, parang sinasabi nila parati yung mga RH proponents, no, na napakaraming bata sa Pilipinas, lalo na yung lugar na mahihirap. At sa kanila, napaka-negative for them na nakikita yung maraming bata. So, nung nagdebate kami ng author ng RH bill, si Congressman Lagman in the last Congress, ito ang unang pinakita kong litrato. Ito yung litrato ng mga bata doon sa aming lugar, sa Parañaque, nakasusunog lamang yung lugar nila. Pero nakita niyo yung mga bata ito, mga mahihirap sila. Tinanong ko si Congressman Lagman, Congressman, ikaw parang napaka-negative ang attitude mo sa pag nakita ka ng mga bata at parang sinasabi mo na dapat nabawasan yung pagkapanganak ng mga bata. Kasi sinasabi parati nila, mga 50% daw ng mga pinanganganak are, anong word na ginagamit ng doktora, no? Unwanted, unplanned, unwanted, 50%. Kung tama yun, 50% of you, unwanted. 50% of you should not say happy birthday pag birthday nyo. Kasi hindi happy yung parents nyo according to Congressman Lagman nung kayo pinanganak, which I disagree with, no? So tinanong ko sa kanya, Your Honor, sino sa kanila sa palagay nyo hindi dapat pinanganak? Yung po bang nakapula? Ito po bang nakaputi? Hindi makasagot si Congressman Lagman. Unveil daw yung question ko. Of course, siyempre, pag statistika ang pinag-uusapan, it's very easy for him to say, dapat hindi pinanganak. Pero siyempre, pag tao na, hindi na siya makasagot. Kasi may mukha na yan, may puso na yan, tao na yan. And you know, ang isa pang bagay na nakaka-disappoint talaga, when we started our debate on the RH bill in this Congress, during the first hearing on November 24, 2010, former Senator Ting Paterno, speaking for the pro-RH group, said, and if you have too many children that you can afford to send to school, you are consigning those children to poverty. And you are promoting an intergenerational poverty, ang salin ng kahirapan mula sa magulang hanggang sa mga anak at sa mga apo. Intergenerational, salin ng kahirapan. Para nakakahawa yung kahirapan, di ba? Yun ang sinabi niya. Ang sinasabi niya, pag ikaw ay mahirap, yung anak mo magiging mahirap din. Yung mga anak ng anak mo magiging mahirap din. Let me tell you, I'll show you a picture. This is very obviously a picture of a very ordinary school. It was in fact a school in a low-cost government housing project in Quezon City many years ago. May kita nyo sa itsura ng eskwelahan na mahirap lang yung eskwelahan. May kita nyo sa itsura ng mga bata na mahirap lang yung mga bata. Ang iba dyan, nakasinelas lang, naka-rubber shoes. Formal class picture ito. But you know, after 40, 30, 40 years, marami sa mga batang ito nagaling sa mga mahirap na pamilya. Yung mga pamilya na maraming mga anak, maraming mga bata. Many of them became professionals. Ang iba, graduate ng UST. Iba naging doktor, naging nurses, accountants, CPAs, nag-abroad, naging successful businessmen, entrepreneurs. And one of them is now the congressman of the 2nd District of Parañaque. So, mukhang mali. Si former Senator Ting Paterno na nakakahawa yung kahirapan. Depende yan on how you manage yourself, di ba? At hindi lang yan. Nakalimutan nila na right now there are about 8.7 million overseas Filipinos worldwide who are working and who are contributing $21 billion a year, which is now the largest single component of our GDP. Karamihan sa mga OFW galing sa mga pamilyang mahihirap. Hindi sila nakatira sa Bel Air, hindi sila nakatira sa Forbes Park, hindi sila nakatira sa BF Homes, Parañaque. Sila ay mga ordinaryong mga tao, mga Pilipino, at galing din sa mga pamilya na maraming anak. So how can Senator Paterno say na merong salin lahi dito? At hindi lang yan. Ngayon, there's another phenomenon, an economic phenomenon that is happening in the Philippines, yung BPO, Business Process Outsourcing. Parami ng parami ang mga nagtatrabaho sa BPO. Noong 2009, mga 442,000. Pero ngayon, in about 2-3 years, ang estimate nila, aabot na ito ng mga about 1 million nagtatrabaho sa BPO. Dito lang sila. Noong 2008, $6 billion. But now, ang projection by about 2011, 2012, aabot na ng mga $10 to $11 billion. Yung kanilang kinukontribute sa ating economy, yung income nila. So, lumalaki rin na lumalaki. Marami din ang kumikita ng malaki. At karamihan din sa mga nagtatrabaho sa BPO, mga galing sa mga mahihirap at ordinaryong mga pamilya. Yung sinasabi ni Senator Paterno na salin lahi ang kahirapan. At katunayan nga, ang Pilipinas ngayon, naangatan na natin yung India, dating India, pagdating sa call center, number 1. Idolo natin ng India, pero sapagkat idolo natin ng India, naunahan na natin sila pagdating sa call centers. And pag tinatanong yung mga naghahanap ng mga call centers ng mga multinationals, ang sagot nila, mas magaling daw ang mga Pilipino pagdating sa call centers because of our grasp of the English language, mas madaling maintindihan yung ating accent. So we are getting stronger and stronger. OFW, tapos BPO, tulong-tulong, at karamihan sa mga tao na nagtatrabaho sa sektor na ito ay mga tao na galing sa mga pamilyang mahirap at galing sa pamilya na maraming anak. Alam nyo, yung sinisisi yung mga mahirap pagdating sa paglaki ng populasyon. Kasi ang issue ng mga RH, masyadong malaki na daw ang population natin, which I disagree. Alam niyo, nung kausap ko si Secretary Cayetano Paderanga Jr., NEDA Secretary, kausap ko siya noong May 18, 2011. Noong 1992, siya ang Secretary ng NEDA. Ngayon bumalik siya na naman ang Secretary ng NEDA. Sabi niya, noong 1992, ang populasyon ng Pilipinas, 65 million. Yung nasa poverty level, 32%. Ngayon, 2011, ang population ng Pilipinas, 95 million. Ang poverty level, yung mga mahirap, 26%. In other words, over the period, lumaki ng 30 million ang ating populasyon. At yan siya sabi pa natin, yan, 30 million na. Masyado tayong dumadami kasi yung mga mahirap, masyado maraming anak. Sila nagpapalaki ng ating populasyon. Yan ang sinasabi parati ng mga RH. But look at the statistics. Noong 1992, yung bilang ng mga mahirap, 20.8 million. Ngayon, 2011, ang bilang ng mahirap, 24.7 million. In other words, ang nadagdag sa mga mahihirap, 4.1 million. Ang nadagdag sa kabuuan nating populasyon, 30 million. So now it's very obvious na yung inilaki ng ating populasyon, 4.1 million lang ang galing sa mga mahihirap. So why are they blaming the poor for the increase in the population? When the poor, as can be seen by the statistics, accounts for only a small fraction, a much smaller fraction of the increase in our population. Yung non-poor, 26 million. Yung poor, 4 million. So, hindi po tama na sisihin natin yung mga mahirap sa paglaki ng ating populasyon sapagkat ang mas nakakadagdag sa ating populasyon ay yung mga Pilipino na hindi mahirap. But there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just showing the statistics here. Tapos merong bagong, sabi nila, naghihirap daw ang Pilipinas. But then, I go back to the SWS. Ang finding nila, 1 million fewer families experiencing hunger. In other words, there is less poverty now in the Philippines. It is not correct to say that the Filipinos are getting poorer and poorer because of what Senator Paterno was saying, na pag poor ka, poor din ang anak mo, poor din yung mga apo mo. Now, anuin natin yung reproductive health bill. Sa unang-una pa lang na pag-file ng reproductive health bill, there was already, in my opinion, in my strong belief, an attempt to deceive the Filipino people. Why? Kasi alam nyo, si Congressman Lagman, ang author ng RH Bill, naglabas ng isang press statement. Ang sabi niya, ang number daw ng House Bill niya ay House Bill number 3. In fact, this came out in his press release, no? Dated July 2, 2010. Alam nyo kasi, sa pag-number ng bill, importante yung numbering. Pag mas mababa yung bill mo, ibig sabihin ikaw ang naunang nag-file. At pag ikaw ang naunang nag-file, dapat bigyan ka ng priority. At siyempre, parang mas magandang tingnan na isa ka sa mga naunang nag-file. Sabi niya, nag-file daw siya ng House Bill number 3. Nung mabalitaan ko itong press statement niya, nagulat ako. Dahil sabi ko, paano nangyari yan? Ako yung isa sa mga unang nag-file ng bill. Ang bill ko for the protection of the unborn, House Bill number 13. At ang alam ko, yung first kasi sa unahan niya sa Kamara, nakapila kayo dyan. Nagkataon yung staff ko, pangalawa, nakapila. Nauna yung staff ni Congressman Singson, no? Then Congressman Singson, kanya ang House Bill number 1 to 10. Kaya nung mabalita ako, sabi ko, paano nangyari na naging number 3 siya? Alam ko, naka-reserve kay Congressman Singson yung number 3. So, chinek ko yan. Napagalaman ko na there was a pressure on the part of someone pressuring the bills and index people to change his House Bill, Congressman Lagman's House Bill number, which turns out to be House Bill number 96. In fact, yan yung final number. Para gawing number 3. So doon pa lang, merong element of an attempt to deceive the Filipino people and falsify an entry. False statement, kaagad. At hindi ito pwede ipagkaila ni Congressman Lagman sapagkat pinikap ito ng media. Kilala niyo ba si R.G. Cruz ng ANC? Nababalita siya ng report. In fact, si R.G. Cruz sa kanyang blog, binasa niya na House Bill number 3, yung kay Congressman Lagman. So, pumasok na sa media, and in Legazpi City, merong Bombo Radio Philippines doon, ganun din, binasa din, na House Bill Resolution number 3, yung bill ni Congressman Lagman. But then again, we all know, hindi yan House Bill number 3, House Bill number 96. Kaya nung nalaman ko yan, nagpunta ako sa Bills and Index, kinausap ko yung Secretary General, sinabi ko, pag pumayag kayo, pag magpa-pressure kayo na dayain ang House Bill number na yan, magpapile ako ng kaso sa Ombudsman. Mabuti na lang at pinakinggan nila ako, kaya hindi natuloy. Kaya naging House Bill number 96 talaga yung number ng bill ni Congressman Lagman. Another thing na panluloko ay itong nagkaroon ng debate sa Kamara de Representante. Ang nag-interpellate si Congressman Manny Pacquiao. Meron tinanong si Congressman Pacquiao about a certain provision. Ang sabi niya, dinidebate niya si Congressman Lagman, sabi niya, hindi ho ba pag pinilit nyo ang mga employers na magbigay ng mga contraceptives, mga kondom, baka ang mangyari dyan, ibibenta ng mga employers yan sa mga empleyado nila, baka kumita pa. Ay hindi, yan ay naamyenda na. Sinabi niya, naamyenda na yan. And let me play this. Okay,
sa palagay ko, nung itong amendment hindi dito sa provision na to, pinadala namin sa Committee on Population and Population. At pinag-usapan dito sa plenaryo, nag-iinsayo ang ating magiting na congressman dun sa laban niya si Mosley. Kaya hindi yagat nalaman na itong provision na to tinanggal na in its entirety. Sapagkat ito po ay amplification lang ng provisions sa labor code. At sabi namin, kung para sa labor code ba yan, panamanatili na ang provisions sa labor code at hindi na natin kasama sa reproductive health bill. Wala na po yan.
Yan po ang declaration ni Congressman Lang. Wala na-amended na. But actually, i-amend pa lang, pinopropose pa lang. Hindi pa na-amend. So that is a false statement. And he tried to deceive the Honorable Congressman Manny Pacquiao na akala niya malulusutan niya para mapaniwala na na-amend na. Hindi pa po kasi merong proseso. Just like anything else. May proseso yan. Hindi pa period of amendment. Katunayan, ito yung wording yan, no?
Tama po ba, Mr. Speaker?
Sumagot si Manny Pacquiao.
Tama po ba ang aking pagkakaintindi na wala pong penalty o parusa na ipapataw sa employer na hindi sumunod sa Section 21 dahil wala naman pong nakasaad na sa Section 29 for violation of Section 21 kung tama po ba mandatory ang obligasyon ng mga employers dahil ginagamit po natin ang words na shall provide. Di naman po maganda na mukhang tinatapos natin ang mga mamamayan na sila naman ang ating boss. At tinanggal na ho ang obligasyon ng mga employers. Kung wala na pong obligasyon, wala na violation. Kung wala pong violation, wala pong penalty. At Mr. Speaker, gusto ko lang linawin na kasakali mo lang na tinanggal na yung penalty, wala pa po tayo sa amendment period. Sa amendment, nasabi mo na tinanggal na yung penalty. Kaya nga yung mga authors mismo ay voluntarily nag-submit ng amendment sa Committee on Population and Public Relations. Pagdating po ng period of amendments, whether committee amendments or individual amendments, palagay ko committee amendments, meron po undertaking ang komitiba na itong mga provisions na to, 5 lahat yan ay hindi na kasama sa palukatan. Mr. Speaker, gusto kong malaman kung ito ba ay na-amend na. Although nag-submit yung mga ibang congressman natin, kung gusto kong malaman kung at anong role po ang ginamit dito?
Ayun. Nakita niyo, nagkautal-utal na si Congressman Lagman nung pinaliwanag ni Congressman Pacquiao na hindi pa na-amend. Kasi iba yung sinabi mo na amend na, iba yung sinabi mo na pinropose na in-amend. Tapos tinanong siya ni Congressman Pacquiao, ano bang rule ang ginamit? At dito hindi nakasagot si Congressman Lagman na TKO si Congressman Lagman, si Congressman Pacquiao. Kahit na pagdating sa larangan ng debate, novato itong si kumbaga amateur itong si Congressman Pacquiao, pero na lucky punch niya si Congressman Lagman at na TKO si Congressman Lagman. Parang si Congressman Lagman, isipin niyo kung nag-boxing yung dalawa, tapos si Pacquiao na knockout. Ang laking disgrasya, di ba? So ganun ang nangyari. Kaya naging katawa-tawa si Congressman Lagman doon sa Kamara ng Representante na na-TKO ng isang bagong debater na si Congressman Pacquiao. Yun ang false statement number 2 ng author ng RH Bill. Ngayon, ito yung House Bill number 4244. Kasi after deliberation, paglabas sa committee, kinonsolidate yung mga iba-ibang mga House bills. Ang unang-una dyan, yung House Bill number 96, naging House Bill number 4244. Yan yung consolidated bill. Yan na ngayon ang pinag-uusapan sa plenaryo ng Kamara de Representante. Alam nyo, ang House Bill number 4244 as worded now, doon sa mga pinaka-central na provision ng House Bill, ang dami doon, 90% ng central provision, almost verbatim, kapareho ng Republic Act 9710, which is the Magna Carta of Women. In other words, pagkapareho, redundant na. Hindi na kailangan na baguhin, hindi na kailangan, kasi nandun na eh. Ito titignan nyo. Ito yung Section 17 ng Republic Act 9710. At iisa-isahin ko, andito yung maternal care, promotion of breastfeeding, responsible ethical, etc. etc. At ikukumpara ko sa House Bill number 4244. House Bill number 4244, ano sinasabi? Maternal, infant, child health, and nutrition. Pag ikaw ay nagbabasa na, sabi mo, ay okay yan. Pabor ako sa RH Bill kasi siyempre maganda. Pero alam mo, lumalabas dito, ito ay sugar coating para itago yung pinaka-central na nilalaman ng Reproductive Health Bill, which is the purchase of about 3 billion pesos worth of contraceptives and condoms. So nilalagay nila yung mga bagay na katanggap-tanggap at very attractive. Okay, tingnan nyo. Maternal, sa House Bill 4244, sa Republic Act 9710, pag sinabi Republic Act, batas na yan, existing na yan. Ano ang wording? Maternal care, pre- and post-natal services to address pregnancy. Tapos, promotion of breastfeeding. Andun din. Pangalawa, sa Reproductive Health Bill, Family Planning Information. Republic Act 9710, nakalagay doon, responsible, ethical, legal, safe, and effective methods of family planning. So, nandun na rin, hindi na kailangan. Sunod, proscription of abortion and management of abortion complications. Sa 9710, Republic Act 9710, prevention of abortion and management of pregnancy-related complications. Sunod, adolescent and youth reproductive health na talagang dinidibate ng gusto. Sa 9710, Republic Act, family and state collaboration in youth, sexuality, education, and health services without prejudice to the primary right and duty of parents to educate their children. Ando na rin. Hindi na rin kailangan. Reproductive tract infections, HIV, and AIDS, and other sexually transmitted infections. Sa Republic Act 9710, prevention and management of reproductive tract infections, including sexually transmitted diseases. Almost verbatim, kinopya lang. Makikita nyo, kinopya lang doon sa Republic Act 9710. Elimination of violence against women. Doon sa, siyempre pag nakita, uy, maganda yan. Elimination of violence against women. Pabor ako dyan. But tingnan nyo sa Republic Act 9710. Violence against women and children, etc., etc. Nandun na rin. Letter G, sa RH Bill, Education and Counseling on Sexuality and Reproductive Health. Sa Republic Act 9710, the state shall provide women in all sectors with appropriate, timely, complete, and accurate information and education on all above stated aspects of women's health in government education training with due regard to the following: person's sexuality, etc. Andun na rin. Sunod, treatment of breast and reproductive tract cancers and other gynecological conditions. Nasa RH Bill yan. Pag nabasa mo yan, sabi mo, ay, pabor ako dyan. But then, pag tinignan niyo yung 9710, existing law, prevention and management of reproductive tract cancers like breast and cervical cancers and other gynecological conditions and disorders. Andun din, it's also there. Tapos, male responsibility and participation Ito, prevention and treatment of infertility and sexual dysfunction. RH, pag nabasa ito ng mga kalalakihan na gusto magkaanak, sasabihin nila, ay, maganda ito, pabor ako dyan. But then, nasa Republic Act 9710, Prevention and Management of Infertility and Sexual Dysfunction. So it's there already. Sunod, reproductive health education for the adolescents. Sa 9710, family and state collaboration in youth sexuality education. Andun din sa sexuality education. Tapos sunod sa RH Bill. Yung RH Bill po, yung medyo dark, no? Mental health aspect of reproductive health care. Sa 9710, intervention of mental health problem of women and children. And then sa reproductive health bill, maternal, infant, and child health and nutrition, including breastfeeding. Ano nakalagay dito? Sa Republic Act 9710, maternal care to include pre- and postnatal services to address pregnancy and infant health and promotion of breastfeeding. And then finally, sa RH Bill, Family Planning, Information and Services, sa Republic Act 9710, Responsible, Ethical, Legal, Safe, and Effective Methods of Family Planning. So it's very obvious that it's already existing. Nilagay nila itong mga what I would call positive provisions in order to sugarcoat yung provision that a lot of people find objectionable. And that is the allocation of billions of pesos of money for the purchase of contraceptives and condoms. So makikita nyo, di ba ganyan minsan ang ginagawa ng tao? Talagang mag-aayos na gusto, gagamit na kung ano ng mga bagay-bagay para maitago yung kanyang tunay na karakter at yung kanyang tunay na personalidad. Yung pala maskara lang, may maskara siya. Pag natanggal yung maskara, andun yung objectionable part of that person. The objectionable part of that bill. Andito, adolescent and youth reproductive health, prevention and management of reproductive tract infection, inulit din sa 9710, reproductive tract infections. Elimination of violence against women, sa Republic Act 9710, andun din ang elimination of violence against women. Education and counseling on sexuality, nandun din sa 9710. Treatment of breast and reproductive cancer, etc., etc. Parating sinasabi na yung bansa daw na masyadong maraming tao ay hindi maganda. Naghihirap daw yung bansa pag mataas ang population. But of course, if we speak of population, the better indicator is not the number ng population, kundi population density. Tama ho ba yun? In other words, number of persons per area. Halimbawa, tayo ngayon dito sa kwarto na ito, maybe we're about 100, 150 dito. Tama-tama sa size ng auditorium yan, sa size ng classroom na ito. However, pag itong grupo na ito ay ilagay mo sa Araneta Coliseum, masikip o maluwag? Maluwag. Pag yung 1 million ilagay mo sa Araneta Coliseum, masikip o maluwag? Masikip. That is what you call population density. So, pagdating sa population density, ang population density ng Pilipinas ay 266 persons per square kilometer. Ilagay natin sa 300. So, pag totoo yung sinasabi nila, yung mga bansa na mas malaki ang population density sa Pilipinas, dapat naghihirap kasi sobrang dami yung tao sa kanilang lugar. Tingnan po natin yung mga bansa na mas malaki ang population density. Macau, population density nila, 20,000. Tayo is about 300. Sino mas mayaman? Macau o Pilipinas? Monaco, population, 16,000. Population density, 16,000. Tayo, 300. Sino mas mayaman? Monaco o Pilipinas? Hong Kong, 6,500 ang kanilang population density. Tayo, 300. Sino mas mayaman? Hong Kong o Pilipinas? Singapore, population density, 5,500. Sino mas mayaman, Singapore o Pilipinas? Tapos ilagay, isama mo dyan yung South Korea, yung Taiwan. Taiwan, doble ang kanilang population density. Sino mas mayaman, Taiwan o Pilipinas? Korea, mas mataas ang population density. Sino mas mayaman, Korea o Pilipinas? In other words, hindi naging obstacle sa kanila yung population density nila. And if you ask me, the key to development is not population, whether it's a small population density or a high population density. It is the development strategy and the leadership of that country. Hindi po RH ang pinag-uusapan dyan, kundi yung liderato ng bansa. At pagdating naman sa mga bansa na mas mababa ang population density, at marami din yan, ito po yung mga bansa na mas mababa ang population density. Botswana. Sino mas mayaman, Pilipinas o Botswana? Palagay ko, wala namang comparison. Namibia. Population density nila 2 per square kilometer. Sa lugar yan, pwede kang maglakad, baka wala kang makasalubong na tao sa isang araw. French Guiana, 1 point. Tanong, yumaman ba yung mga bansang ito dahil maliit ang kanilang population density? Hindi. Sino mga taga-probinsya rito? Taga-probinsya. Katulad ko, mga PROMD, no? Sa lugar ninyo, sino mas maraming tao in population density? Poblasyon o baryo? Sino mas maraming tao in population density? Poblasyon o baryo? Poblasyon. Sino mas mayaman? Poblasyon o baryo? Poblasyon mas mayaman. O bakit ganun? Kung tama yung sinasabi ni Congressman Lagman, dapat ang naghihirap yung nasa poblasyon. Di ba? At ang mayayaman, yung mga nasa baryo. And we all know it's not correct. Dr. Marabilla, taga-Odyuan ka, taga-Romblon tayo pareho. Now, pagdating naman sa mga dito sa Pilipinas, ito yung mga lugar na grabe ang population density. Nabotas, Manila, Pasig, Parañaque, Makati, pero yan din ang mga lugar na pinakamayaman sa Pilipinas. Now, another medical issue. Meron po mga pag-aaral kayo, mga nursing kayo, and I'm sure that Dr. Monson will be elaborating on this later. Ito ang kini-question namin. Marami pong pag-aaral ngayon na nagsasabi na yung mga oral contraceptives increase the risk of breast cancer. Hindi si Congressman Goles nagsasabi dyan. Sino nagsasabi dyan? World Health Organization, International Agency for Research on Cancer. Tumataas ang incidence of breast cancer, cervical cancer, and even liver cancer. Sino pa? United States National Cancer Institute, UK Cancer Research, Harvard Medical School, Indian Journal of Medical Ethics, at marami pang ibang mga, pati si dating Secretary of Health Cabral said na na-quote din siya rito na ba't nawala rito yung kay Secretary Cabral? Sinabi si Secretary Cabral in a statement,
Yes, sir.
ito. Oral contraceptives have bad side effects. Nakalagay dito na oral contraceptives pose a high risk of breast cancer. Sinabi ni Secretary Cabral. Yan, former Secretary of Health na nagsabi. Kaya lang sabi niya, pero ang kagandahan naman daw, sabi niya, meron din magandang side effect. Ano yan? It will make your ovary healthier. But my question is this, kayo nasa medical profession, would you welcome a healthy ovary by risking and accepting a high risk of breast cancer? Of course not. Yung mga kalalakihan, halimbawa, kaming mga ama, papayag ba kami na ma-expose yung mga anak namin mga babae sa breast cancer? Kung ako'y bagong kasal, papayag ba ako na aking bata kasawa ay ma-expose sa breast cancer? Can you imagine not only the health complication, but the complication to the entire family? Especially considering that today, breast cancer is the #1 cancer killer not only in the Philippines but worldwide. Pagdating naman sa hindi lang oral contraceptives, kundi pati sa condom, ano ang sabi ni Secretary Cabral? This is in a news item that came out March 5, 2010. Sabi niya, condoms are 85% effective for the prevention of HIV/AIDS. 85% and 95% effective for unwanted pregnancies. Ano ang ibig sabihin niya? Pag 85% effective, merong 15% na pwede kang madisgrasya. Pag patuloy mo ginagamit yung condom, there is a 15% risk that you would contract HIV. Tama ba naman yung ganun? Pag merong 15% risk na ang aeroplano sasakyan mo ay babagsak, sasakay ka ba sa aeroplano na yan? Even 2%, even 1%, yung aeroplano, yung airline na yan, sigurado, pasasara ng gobyerno. Kung aeroplano na yan, ang airline na yan, meron 1% crash rate. Ito, 15% crash rate, itong condom pagdating sa HIV. What about for unwanted pregnancies? Meron 5% risk, 1 out of 20. In other words, kung ikaw akala mo kampante ka, ayaw mong magkaroon ng pregnancy in your relationship, meron kang girlfriend or whatever, no? Tapos, 1 out of 20, pwedeng madisgrasya. 5%. 1 out of 20, sasakay ka ng aeroplano, meron 1 out of 20 chance na babagsak yung aeroplano mo. Papayag ba kayo sa ganung klaseng risk? Now, that is coming from no less than Secretary Cabral. And of course, the Philippine Breast Cancer Network agrees with former Health Secretary Cabral that the pill increases risk of breast cancer. Ito ang statement nila sa kanilang blog, sa kanilang website. What is even most particular to the Philippines is the government's population control program of oral and injectable contraceptives. Thousands upon thousands of women have been put to great risk with the early and prolonged use of the pill, undeniably a risk factor for breast cancer. Bayer faces U.S. lawsuit over contraceptives. Merong isang reproductive health NGO goes to pot. Ano nangyari dito? Ito yung reproductive health NGO na they got involved in the distribution and sale of condoms, merong mga anomalya, etc., etc. And a lot of people are saying that probably the main reason for the RH bill is economic. The purchase of 3 billion worth of condoms and contraceptives and even more. Kasi sample pa lang yung 3 billion. Kasi mag-compute lang kayo. Sabihin natin 10 million women will be given contraceptives. Or 1 million men will be given condoms. Once a month, kahit na once a month lang. Isipin nyo kung gaano kalaki yung gagasahin ng gobyerno para dyan at kung bakit meron mga NGO na gustong pumasok dyan. Meron din isang statistic na pinrovide ng Social Watch Philippines based on data coming from the Department of Health. Ang tawag dito, Safe Reproduction Index. Ang Safe Reproduction Index is the index that is based on the presence of a doctor, ang tawag nila, no, a medical practitioner, a doctor, a nurse, or a midwife during birth. So, pag mataas ang sabihin, kung tayo ay concerned about maternal death rate, kung tayo concerned about infant death rate, ang sagot dyan, hindi RH, ang sagot dyan, dagdagan ang doktor, dagdagan ang nurses, dagdagan ang midwife na nag-a-assist sa panganganak. May magsasabi, Congressman, baka naman yung mga probinsya na yan, kaya maraming doktor, maraming nurse, maraming midwife, mayayamang probinsya yan. I will show you. Sino yung mga nasa top 10? Batanes, mayaman o mahirap? Hindi naman ganun kayaman ang Batanes. Although of course, maliit ang population. Siquijor is a very poor province, but it's number 7 in SRI. Camiguin is not a wealthy province, but it's number 10 in SRI. In other words, mahusay yung kanilang mga policy makers doon, yung kanilang mga administrators doon, sapagkat naglagay sila ng mas malaking pondo para sa doktor, para sa nurse, para sa midwife, ano ang resulta? Bumaba ang maternal death rate, bumaba ang infant death rate. So it's very obvious, ang sagot dyan ay hindi RH, kundi magdagdag ng doktor, magdagdag ng nurses, magdagdag ng midwife. At ito naman yung mga probinsya na bottom 10, no? Napakababa ang kanilang SRI, kukunti lamang ang doktor, nurses at midwife nila. Kaya tingnan nyo, ang taas naman ng kanilang maternal death rate. Naalala nyo sa kabila, almost zero. Ito, death rate nila 1.1, 2.1, 1.4. Yung infant death rate nila, ang taas, 7.8, 2.6, 9.2. Kaya there is, again, a direct relationship between the presence of a doctor, a nurse, or a midwife during birth to the incidence of maternal death as well as infant death. So, balik tayo sa sagot ko na hindi RH ang kailangan natin. Pagdating sa population naman, hindi rin tama yung sinasabi nila na palaki ng palaki ang ating population. Of course, we are growing. Hindi man pwedeng hindi tayo mag-grow. Pero ang growth rate natin, pababa ng pababa ng pababa. 1960 to 70, 3%. 1970 to 1980, 2.75. 1980 to 1990, 2.35. Ngayon, ang latest, from the NSO, it is already 1.95. Kahit na walang RH, bumababa ng bumababa. And I understand the reason for that is because of the economy. Pag umuus ang economy natin, nagkakaroon din ng parang bumababa din ang rate because women are getting busy with their business, with their employment. At pag tingnan natin, bawat region, kasi parating na sinasabi na mataas ang growth rate natin. Look, let's look at it region by region. You can associate yourself with the region dahil alam niyo kung anong region kayo, no? National Capital Region, noong 2000 to 2007, 2.04 ang growth rate sa buong Pilipinas. Sa NCR, many of us come from the NCR, 2.11. Medyo mataas, no? Pero the reason for that, migration. Maraming taga-probinsya nagpupunta sa Metro Manila para maghanap ng trabaho. Cordillera Administrative Region, CAR, Baguio, Benguet, Ifugao, 1.5. Ang baba. In fact, sabi nila, ideal daw, mga 1.6, 1.7, which I don't agree with. Pero ito, mas mababa. So, there's no need for RH in the CAR region. Ilocos region, sino taga Ilocos dito? Ang growth rate nyo, 1.1. Napakaliit. Cagayan Valley, sino taga Cagayan Valley rito? Cagayan Valley, ang growth rate nyo, 1.13. Dating araw, mawawalan kayo ng tao doon. Lalo na pag pinaliwalaan nyo, si Congressman Lagman. Central Luzon, 2.36. Medyo mataas. But again, the reason for that, anong dahilan? Bakit marami tao sa Central Luzon? Dahil merong Subic, merong Clark, merong Bulacan, maraming mga industrial zones, kaya nagpupuntahan din yung mga tao doon. Southern Tagalog. Pagdating sa Southern Tagalog, dalawang Southern Tagalog. Una, yung Calabarzon, 3.21. Mataas. Bakit mataas ang Calabarzon? Maraming factory. Maraming mga nadagdag na mga negosyo doon. Kaya nagpupuntahan yung mga tao. Hindi yan because of growth rate, hindi yan because marami nanganganak doon, kundi maraming lumilipat. Okay. Mimaropa. Yan yung Mindoro, Palawan, Marinduque, and Romblon. Ano ang growth rate? 1.49. It's low. Sino taga Mimaropa dito? Mindoro, Marinduque, mababa. Pag pinaliwalaan si Congressman Lagman, mawawalan tayo ng tao dun. Bicol region. Sino taga Bicol dito? Bicol. Lugar ni Congressman Lagman. Anong growth rate doon? 1.2. It's very low. I cannot understand why Congressman Lagman wants to have less people in Bicol. 1.2. Western Visayas, 1.35. Sino taga Western Visayas dito? Mga taga Iloilo. 1.2. Mababa din. Central Visayas, yan yung Cebu, Negros Oriental, and Bohol, 1.59. Mababa din. Eastern Visayas, mga Waray. Sino mga Waray dito? Waray, 1.12. It's also very low. Mawawalan din ng tao sa Waray. Sa Waray country, Western Mindanao, 1.83. Northern Mindanao, 1.67. Southern Mindanao, 1.71. Central Mindanao, ito yung mga Cotabato provinces, 2.41. And ARMM, 5.46. Medyo mataas ng konti ang ARMM. But that is how they want it to be. And Caraga, 1.25. Caraga, yan yung Surigao del Sur at Agusan provinces. Sino man taga Caraga dito? Again, the growth rate is very low. Kaya makita nyo, practically all of the regions, there is no population growth problem. It is only in the mind of Congressman Lagman where there is a population growth problem. Isa-isahin natin ito, dito yung mga iba-ibang probinsya, no? Kung makikita, isipin nyo, tingin nyo, Abra, 1.35, Apayao, 0.9, Kalinga, 0.64, Mountain Province, 0.79, Ilocos Norte, 0.86, Ilocos Sur, 0.88, Batanes, 0.42, Cagayan, 1.06. These are very low population growth rate figures. In fact, they're very alarming. For the sake of the growth, the healthy growth and development of the province. And I don't know why Congressman Lagman would like to inflict more population growth problems to these provinces. Nandan Nilicani. Alam mo si Nandan Nilicani? He's a very respected billionaire businessman in India. Ang India kasi, noong una, we associated it with a high population growth rate and a big money sa India. Sabi niya, he was talking of human capital. He's speaking in the London School of Economics. Sabi niya, India no longer views its large population as a liability, but as an asset. And by the way, Nandan Nilicani has been appointed to the cabinet of India. India is entering a phase of demographic dividend that will be leveraged towards solving the problems that rich economies are currently facing, according to Mr. Nilicani. Pag sinabi niyang demographic dividend, ang India now is enjoying a high economic growth and marami silang tao, very young kanilang population, they're very young workers that can be mobilized for any economic opportunity for the country. Unlike in the case of Russia, Russia is having a negative population growth problem. Ano ang ginawa ni President Medvedev when he delivered his own SONA? May SONA rin sila ron. Anong sabi niya? They are offering incentives for a third child or more. They will give a baby bonus, better healthcare, and free land. Magbibigay ng libreng lupa para sa pamilya na magkakaroon ng mas maraming anak. Sino gusto lumipat sa Russia dito? South Korea is spending billions of dollars. Nag-allocate sila ng $67 billion over the next 5 years to boost their birth rate. South Korea, kasi tumatanda na rin kanilang populasyon. $67 billion, tayo billions of pesos to lower our growth rate, sila $67 billion to boost their growth rate. Doon sa libro ni George Friedman, this is the best-selling book, no, The Next 100 Years. Meron siyang magandang sinabi doon. Sabi niya, ngayon, yung mga Western countries like Europe, United States, they're now experiencing population growth rate problems. Ngayon, medyo stricto sila sa immigration. You try to immigrate to the US, medyo mahirap, pipila ka. Pero anong sabi ni Friedman? Today, developed countries see the problem as keeping immigrants out. Later in the first half of the 21st century, we are now already in the first half of the 21st century. The problem will be persuading them to come. Countries will go so far as to pay people to move there. This will include the United States. In other words, dating araw, and that time will be soon. In fact, New Zealand is already doing that. Nagbibigay ng incentives. Canada is already doing that. Dating araw, yung ambassador of the United States will be knocking at your door. Pagbukas mo ng pinto, magugulat kayo, ambassador ng US ang gusto pumasok at sabi, "Good morning. Is there anyone here who would like to immigrate to America?" Nandito ang application form. Kasi kulang na sila ng tao dun eh. They are running out of workers. Japan is experiencing that now. They're running out of workers. Russia has to import 10 million workers every year. Ito yung isang very respected physicist, si Michio Kaku. Madalas lumabas yan sa mga National Geographic, no? Ang sabi niya about Japan. Japan is facing a demographic nightmare. Japan has the fastest aging population. The birth rate has fallen to an astonishing 1.2 children per family. And immigration is negligible. Some demographers have stated that we are watching a train wreck in a slow motion. One demographic train will soon collide with another. Japan's demographic problem, ayun, is itong problema nila. So, I'd like to end by my presentation kasi madalas sabihin ng mga pro-RH people na backward daw tayo. Para ma-develop tayo, kailangan bawasan natin yung population natin, bawasan natin yung growth rate para umunlad tayo. Of course, I disagree with that. I also disagree with their contention that we are a backward country. We are a modern country. Our best can compare with the best of other countries in terms of industry, in terms of education, in terms of educational institutions like the UST, in terms of other economic achievements. And one of the greatest economic achievements that we should be proud of is this one. Ito, ang laking bapor. Isa sa pinakamalaking bapor na nagawa sa buong daigdig itong mga nakaraang mga taon. Ito'y gawa ng isang shipyard sa Cebu. Hindi ito una. Ito yung 118th na vapor na ginawa nila na ganito kalaki. 180,000 deadweight ton bulk cargo vessel. Ang laki ng vapor na ito, itong building na ito, pwede ipasok sa loob ng vapor na yan. Gawa ng Pilipino. Pagkatapos sasabihin nila, just to justify their RH, that we are a backward country. We are not. Inulit ko kanina, number 1 na tayo pagdating sa call center. Ang dami tayong mga lugar sa Pilipinas na pwede natin magmalaki. We're producing computers, we're producing laptops, we're producing a lot of world-class products all over the world. Of course, meron lugar na mahirap, pero parang isang pamilya. Ganun talaga, no? But we are there already. We're moving forward. Kaya, ulitin ko, hindi natin kailangan ng RH. Ang kailangan natin is good governance. Ang kailangan natin is good leadership. Yung 3 billion na gusto nilang gastahin para sa RH, para pambili ng contraceptives, pambili ng condom, kung tatanungin nyo, mas maganda ilagay yan sa education, maglagay yan sa training, para lalo tayo umunlad. Maraming salamat po.
Congressman Goles. So, AG, I'm sure that, we all have learned something really
Yes, nagulat talaga ako dun sa numbers.
Not just the numbers and how it was already present in RA 9710 and, it already implicates...
I think it all boiled down to sa galing ni Sir Lagman na i-paraphrase lahat mga laman nung bill. Yes.
Yes. And definitely, it's not the problem. Our problem in the Philippines not about the population, but then we should also focus on the different things, the different issues, and the different aspects of society that it caters to. So since Congressman Goles has another engagement to go to this morning, we will be entertaining a few questions. So, may title naman kayo, and if you have any any questions behind na hindi clear sa inyo, then maybe we can bring it up. And I'll just go to you. So the floor is now open for any questions.
Magandang man. Ako po si Sir Adi Halin ng Arts and Letters. Minsan po akong humingi ng tulong sa aking mga estudyante. Ginamit namin yung Facebook. And then we were accused of trolling yung Akbayan. Ang tanong ko po, ano po ang pinakamainam na maaaring gawin ng mga estudyante para talaga pong mapigilan ito o mahadlangan na may sa batas? Thank you po.
Thank you. Mabuti po, binanggit niyo yung Facebook. Kasi kanina, habang sasalita ako, and even before, kumukuha ng litrato yung isang assistant ko. Kinunan kayo, kinunan ko, kayo kinunan din. Pakidagdagan nyo nga yung picture ng, asan na yung, pakidagdagan yung picture nila. Kasi mamaya, pag uwi ko ng bahay, mga bandang midnight, ilalagay ko to sa Facebook ko. Sino ba mga Facebook dito? Ayan. Ilalagay ko sa Facebook, pwede nyong itag yung picture nyo. I-approve ko naman kagad yan para pupunta sa Facebook account nyo yung mga pictures dito. At hindi lang yan. Yung speech ko, naka-video din. Mamaya, i-upload ko rin yan sa YouTube. I have uploaded personally about 2,000 videos of my speeches and all sorts of activities. So, paglagay sa YouTube, automatically pupunta rin sa Facebook yan. Kaya makikita nyo rin sa sarili nyo. Ano nga yung tanong ninyo? Sir, binibiro lang kita. Ang sagot dyan is we can do social networking. We can make this viral para malaman ng mundo yung mga points, no? Pwede na i-viral. Yung karamihan, in fact, practically all of the sweet-sounding provisions of RH are already existing. Unnecessary, redundant. Di ba? That I documented that. 9710, nasa 9710 na. Gusto nyo ng breastfeeding? It's there, 9710. Gusto nyo ng sex education? It's there. Gusto nyo ng maternal health? It's there. Kung kailangan ng maternal health, infant health, dagdagan natin yung budget ng Pabelle Hospital, yung mga health centers, not for condoms and not for contraceptives, but for more doctors, nurses, and midwives. Doon dapat ilagay ang pera ng bayan. Gusto natin yung lang. Kasi tingnan nyo, ang ginagawa nila, para tumaas ang ating per capita income, ginagawa nila, binababaan nila yung divisor. Babawasan nila. Pareho pa rin ang income sa taas, pero pag delete ang divisor, siyempre lalabas parang mas malaki ang per capita income. But actually, it's not something that will filter down. Mali yun eh. Ang kailangan natin is to improve our income. Not to reduce our divisor, but to increase our income. And how do you do that? By investing in the correct programs and correct projects. I was saying, you give me 3 billion pesos, instead of buying condoms and contraceptives to prevent the birth of 200,000 babies, I am going to use that 3 billion pesos to train 200,000 able-bodied and women who cannot find work right now because they don't have proper skills. I will put the 3 billion in TESDA, and in 1 year's time, practically all of the 200,000 are going to find work here and abroad and will generate a combined income of about 40 billion pesos. Yun ang tamang strategy. Doon dapat ilagay ang pera. And I think I need your help to explain that. I-viral natin, social networking, i-Facebook natin, i-Twitter natin. By the way, I also tweet, no? Mamaya, pag alis ko rito, habang umanda, i-tweet ko na, sabi ko, naku, masaya yung mga kausap ko sa UST kanina.
Okay, mukhang madadami yung followers ni Congressman. And do we have any other questions? Hey.
Good morning po. I'm Peter Carlo David from the Faculty of Arts and Letters. Sir, you mentioned that there was an attempt of deception in this bill. Do you think that there is also an element of corruption, a possibility of corruption for this bill?
No, I would not want to make that accusation, but you know, whenever there's a purchase, there's a procurement. Kaya gigil na gigil sila na maglaan ng pondo rito para makabili ng contraceptives. I-centralize yung purchase. Can you imagine if this will become a law? Tapos bibili ng mga contraceptives. Isipin nyo na lang there are, I understand, about 20 million women of childbearing age in the Philippines. About 20 million. Sabihin natin, kalahati dyan ang kailangan ng contraceptives according to them. Magkano ba, di ba daily yan? Magkano ba ang isang contraceptive pill? Lagyan natin sa piso. Piso, mura na yan, no? So, 10 million per day. 10 million per day. 3.65 billion in 1 year's time. Yung condom na, magkano ang condom? Kausap ko yung dating Secretary of Health. Secretary of Health, no? Nagkaroon kami ng debate rin sa television. Kasi gumawa ko ng computation. Sabi ko, okay, let's assume there are 10 million men na kailangan bigyan ng condom para hindi sila masyado maging reproductive, so to speak, no? And that is the only way na pwedeng pigilan sila. Magkano ang isang, bigyan mo sila ng once a week ng condom. So 10 million condoms per week. There are 52 weeks. 52 weeks in 1 year. 52 times 10 million is 520 million condoms in 1 year. Magkano yan? Ang sagot ng dating Secretary Bell, sobra naman yan, once a week. Sabi ko, Mr. Secretary, saang planeta ka ba nanggaling? Hindi mo ba alam na ang isang able-bodied, healthy Filipino male will need at least once a week or whatever? So sabi ko nga, mas maigi yung, plus of course I go back to the statistics provided by no less than Secretary Cabral. Pag AIDS ang pinag-uusapan, ang effectiveness is only 85%. 15% failure rate is high. Kung ikaw ay doktor at meron kang 15% failure rate sa paggamot ng isang pasyente, delikado, di ba? 5% ang failure rate pagdating sa pregnancy. 1 out of 20. In other words, if you think it's going to protect you from pregnancy and you do it 20 times in 1 year, sigurado, pregnant ka. If that is your only means of birth control. Yung natural family planning is much more effective than that. Meron pa po ibang tanong?
Any other questions?
By the way, yung mga gusto magpa-add sa akin sa Facebook, pasensya na at nasa 5,000 na yung members ko sa Facebook. Hindi ko na kayo ma-accommodate. Sorry na lang.
Good morning po.
Yung pangalan mo sa Facebook, Roy Logoles lang.
Good morning po. I'm Jackie from the College of Nursing. Ang tanong ko po, isa po din po akong nurse. Ang tanong ko po, kunyari po maging ano na siya, law. For example, for nurses like me, for Catholic nurses like me, are we going to be mandated to teach, let's say, artificial contraception to our patients? How about hospitals like Catholic hospitals like UST?
Meron
Thank you.
provision yan. May penalty provision. In fact, yan isa sa mga controversial provisions. But then they keep on saying, na-amend na, hindi pa na-amend yan. Because when they saw the avalanche of protest and indignation about this provision, providing for penalties, nag-flip-flop sila. Pero hindi natin alam kung talagang final yan eh. Kasi alam niyo, pag hindi pa na-amend, hindi pa na-amend. In fact, a proposal to amend is not an amendment, as correctly stated by Congressman Manuel Pacquiao. Congressman Pacquiao had to educate Congressman Lagman about the intricacies of amending a piece of legislation. Kaya talaga na-knock out si Lagman.
I think we have room for one last question.
Yes, thank you.
Good morning, Congressman.
Thank you, maraming salamat.
Ako si Nestor from the Faculty of Arts and Letters, Legal Management. On the technical aspect na po, gusto ko lang po sana magtanong regarding kailan po ba sa tingin nyo ang last reading ng bill na to at kailan po ba ito pagbobotohan kung ibabasura o tutuloy sa Senado? At sa tingin nyo po ba, ito po ba ay kung sakali pong makalagpas ng House of Representatives at matuloy sa Senado, ano po ba ang chance na ito ay maipasa o maibasura?
Alam niyo ang proseso ng legislation ganito, no? Yung period of sponsorship, tapos na yan. Na-sponsor na nila. Merong period of debate and interpellation. Yung period of interpellation, yung nangyayari ngayon. There are about 50 members of Congress of the House of Representatives who have manifested their desire to interpellate. So 50 yan. So if they are going to be allowed, and this will not be railroaded, aabutin ng mga 2 taon siguro bago matapos yung 50 legislators in their interpellation. Sa ngayon, ang tingin ko rito, halos 50-50 ang labanan dito, no? And I was surprised that in the last Congress, kami ang mga nangunguna yan. Ako, Congressman Delmar, Congressman Pabling Garcia of Cebu, etc. Amado Pagatsing. But I got the surprise of my life that many young members of Congress are in the forefront right now against the RH bill. Sino yan? Si Congressman Dax Kua of Quirino at ang batang congressman. Congresswoman Alia Dimaporo of Lanao del Norte, batang congressman din, congresswoman. Congressman Nograles of Davao City, another very young congressman. Ang dami mga bata who are with us in this advocacy against RH. So medyo matatagalan ang proseso. The other indication is that, alam niyo, pag nalaman ng tao kung anong nilalaman ng RH, the way we are explaining it now, and the way all of us should be explaining it, no? Whatever side that you're taking, alam niyo, nagugulat kayo, tumataas yung porsyento ng mga those who are against. We had a debate in ABS-CBN. I was one of the debaters yung harapan debate, no? Nagsalita si Lagman, nagsalita yung iba, nagsalita ako, nagsalita yung ibang kasama. Noong nagkaroon ng texting, yung by SMS, kasi ito yung pinakamahusay na basehan, no? Alam niyo kung ilan ang kumontra. Almost 69-68% against the RH bill ibasura and 31% in favor. Yun ang lumalabas. Pero yung sinasabi ng SWS, 70% in favor daw. On a generic aspect, sabi ko nga, who would go against reproductive health? Nobody would go against reproductive health. Because reproductive health is good for us. It's the reproductive health bill that is not good for us. Tapos, marami pang iba. Pagdating sa Philippine Star, ganoon din ang resulta. Tapos sa Channel 5, we don't want to preempt this, pero nagkaroon ng debate, nagkaroon ng rating, bagsak din ang RH doon sa Channel 5. Pero hindi pa yata pinapalabas. Sa Senado naman, it takes 2 to approve a bill. It must be approved by both the Senate and the House, no? Sa Senado, the Senate President is against it. The Majority Leader, Tito Soto, is against it. Several other out of the 20 who signed the bill for plenary debate, yung reproductive health bill, 12 either had strong reservations or objected to the bill. Kaya lang sila pumilma for the sake of debating it in open. Ayaw nilang i-suppress yung debate, no? They're in favor of a public debate. Sabi nila, sige, pabor kami, debate natin sa plenary yan, pero kami tutol o kaya with very strong reservation. So, mahirap din ang mahirapan ng RH pagdating sa Senado. So, maraming po salamat. I'd like to thank you so much. Ulitin ko yung sinabi ko kanina, noong many years ago when I came here, binasted ako ng taga-UST. Pero sana ngayon, hindi niyo ako bastidin pagdating sa advocacy o go against RH. Maraming salamat sa inyo.
Thank you, sir. Due to the shortage of time that we have, for those who still have questions to Sir Goles, if you like, you can write them down and you can forward them to any NCBS officer or any of the staffers that you have around. So at this time, maybe call on Assistant Professor Susan Maravilla, our NCBS advisors, Ma'am Chua and Ma'am Bongar, and our NCBS President, Hani Vanyo, to give our certificate and a token of appreciation